What's up guys, Headless Andre here to talk to you today about an issue that's gotten a lot of attention in the last few hours. So as you may have heard from various outlets, including ourselves, that some people are having trouble with the left Joy-Con. Specifically, it's not always being responsive, and a lot of people are calling it, or it's being called, a desyncing issue. Basically what's happening is people have noticed when they're playing a game like Zelda, that as they're running around, the control stick no longer becomes responsive and Link will keep running in the direction he's going. So I thought we'd take a closer look at this because it's something I didn't experience at first, but I started to yesterday. And I wanted to sit down and try and figure it out, like what is going on here. Now granted, I'm no expert, so I can only show you what I've come across so far. So what we're going to show you though is we can't actually show you Zelda, the embargo won't allow it yet. However, I figured out a method that's at least as good, if not even better, because the Switch menu contains an option to calibrate your controls, which you can see right here. And as part of that, you can check out your control stick, and you can actually swing it around, and it responds, showing you exactly how, exactly what it's doing. So let me put it in frame here. You can see I'm moving the control stick, and it's responding perfectly on screen. So far so good, and this is the left Joy-Con once again. But I sat here and experimented with what was going on to see if I could reproduce what was happening in Zelda, because it hasn't happened that many times to people. And as it turns out, I think I found a way to reliably produce what's happening. So before we begin, the green light on the bottom here shows that it is connected to the Switch right there. Alright, so here we go. So again, it's working perfectly, but check this out. If I move my right hand near the controller, I'm spinning around, watch what happens. It's starting to get a little bit jumpy. Keep in mind, my control stick is perfectly smooth. Now if I move my hand a little bit more, keep watching, it's getting even jumpier. And if I cover it completely, now it's super jumpy. Look at that. Wow. It's barely receiving. I'm still spinning in a circle. You can see my thumb moving. It's only getting the left half of that. Like it's only picking up every, I don't know, half a second or so. So what's happening is when people are running in Zelda, when it loses connection like that, Link keeps moving in the direction it last received, being, whichever direction it was. So that's why people notice that he keeps moving. Now check this out, it's not just your hand, or actually, well, as part of that, originally I thought it was other Joy-Con causing issues when it got close. As it turns out, it was just my hand, I think, getting it close, causing the issue. Now, if I put it behind my back, you're gonna see it, you can see what happens. I'm still spinning it perfectly, and it almost freezes completely. It's not able to read it through my body here, evidently. So yeah, you can see it's barely picking it up. It freezes in one spot pretty consistently. It does move around sometimes, so I'm moving my hand a little bit more so you can get some signal. Right now it's getting no signal apparently. If I try, yeah, so I let go of the control stick for a second, that's why we return to center. So yeah, it seems like there's some kind of like occlusion going on here, that if there's a barrier in front of it, like some kind, or a specific kind of barrier, it may get in the way. So even though it doesn't strictly require line of sight to the Switch, it may be a factor. So I'm wondering if that's what's causing the issue. Because I noticed in my bedroom, where I sat closer to the Switch, I didn't have this issue at all. But now that I'm maybe 10 feet from the Switch or so, that's when the issues seem to come up when I cover it up like this. Hold on, it's working fine now, but there we go. Now it's jumping around. So it doesn't seem to be perfectly consistent. It could be dependent on a variety of factors, including what's in your room, whether wireless signals might be happening in the room. There's countless factors. I've only checked out 2 locations, of course. Now, so far the issue's only been reported with the left Joy-Con. But what about the right one? Let's check it out. So let's go ahead and exit out of the menu here, and we'll click the right stick on the right Joy-Con to activate it. Now, even though it's a right Joy-Con, I'm going to hold it in my left hand, but it's easier for me to spin the stick. So far, so good. Looks good. Now, let me cover with my hand, or get my hand close. Still good so far. We'll cover it a little bit more. Okay, now it's getting choppy. You see that? It's a little bit better than the left Joy-Con. I'll give it that. Actually, definitely better, but it's still choppy when I get my hand close. Now, let's do the behind the back test. And yeah, we're running into the exact same issue, basically. Look at that. So it's not just a left Joy-Con, it's a right Joy-Con as well. It's both Joy-Cons. So what that tells me is, a couple things. One, it's not specific to a single Joy-Con. The reason people are only reporting on the left one, I think, is because that's the one you're moving a character around. You're using the left joystick all the time. So you're going to notice immediately if it's not responsive or if it stops responding at all. Because again, once it stops responding, Link just runs by himself in whatever direction you're going. Whereas with the right stick, you're not using it nearly as much, only for the camera, and even then, you're probably not going to notice it, when it acts up as much as with the left Joy-Con. So Yeah, I don't know what this means. Like, I don't know what this means if this is an inherent hardware issue to the Joy-Cons, and it's just something you have to keep in mind. You have to make sure you have nothing, like very little getting in the way, or maybe let fewer wireless signals. Or maybe they can patch this to improve the wireless signal. But the fact it's happening in both is making me think it might be more of just an inherent issue that, you know, maybe the wireless just isn't as good in the Joy-Cons, whether it's due to different hardware or maybe to trying to keep a low power. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I can only tell you my findings. That's right, Andre the Past. Alright guys, so after making the video, I realized I forgot to mention one thing, and that's the fact that the reason I pointed out the green light in the beginning on the Joy-Con is because that green light stayed on the entire time. When I was doing my testing, that green light never turned off, or never started flashing rather, indicating it always had a connection to the Switch. So even though this problem is happening, it's not technically a desync issue, at least as being seen by the Switch itself. I mean, granted, you know, maybe it is being desynced, and the Switch just isn't acknowledging it, or maybe it's maintaining a signal long enough between the periods in when it's getting hung up that it still counts. I'm not quite sure, but I thought I'd throw that out there, that it's not because the Switch is, you know, losing connection with the controller, at least going by the controller indicator, but instead the signal seems to be getting interrupted by, you know, either, you know, by some kind of body part or something, or, you know, who knows what else could be causing that. Anyways, there you have it, guys. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of what's going on with the Joy-Con. So, in my experience, it's not an impossible issue to deal with, in that either by sitting closer or making sure there's nothing in the way that causes issues can help. But of course, that's not an optimal solution because there's, you know, the Switch is built around playing in a variety of environments. So hopefully Nintendo will be able to update this in some way via firmware, maybe. I don't know if they can or not. We'll find out. Because it would be good to have this issue, you know, improved. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for tons more on Nintendo Switch and other things gaming as well. Catch you later. Bye.